We have provided school feeding program because most of the families are poor, from poor households. So because we want children to stay in school, there is a school feeding program, even though it has its own challenges. Then you're looking at a radical inclusion program, which encourages young people that have become pregnant to go back to school. We do not want girls to drop out of school because this is a menace that has exhibited itself in Sierra Leone for many years. And this is why today we find it difficult to position ourselves as women because girls have been dropping out of school. So we have created these opportunities. We are working on strategies to ensure we involve young people in whatever aspect of development. We have encouraged, as a government, we have created the enabling environment for young people like Junisa and all the girls that are there in Sierra Leone to create their own establishments, their organizations, so that they will reach out to other Sierra Leonean children or Sierra Leonean young people to be able to give out their voices, talking about change, talking about their rights, and talking about how they themselves will take the center stage for development. Another thing we need to talk about, because we're talking about reproductive health rights, is that there's a challenge which in our societies, because we are so deep-rooted in traditional norms, even where we have safe spaces for children, like reproductive health centers, where young people go to access services and information, because of the mindset of our people, when they see young people going to those centers, they perceive them as being prostitutes, they perceive them as being promiscuous, or maybe somebody that has got in contact with HIV and AIDS. So the stigma surrounding them going to those spaces is very alarming. So what do we do to support young people? We need to make sure we re-strategize on having those youth-friendly centers with separate or different or several capacities and facilities for them to be able to access and create the mindset where people will be able to understand that young people need to learn, they need to acquire education in those centers. So we need to change mindset. We need to educate our people and create awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, for sharing these deep, insightful messages. We really appreciate all you're doing towards girls and women empowerment. So now, going forward, I would like to turn to Minister of Social Welfare. We, as the Dr. We know cultural dynamics and religion are key influences and sometimes barriers to comprehensive sexual health education and rights. So how can your office optimize the participation of religious and cultural leaders in this agenda to optimize sexual and reproductive health for girls?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Distinguished panelists, government officials present, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, good afternoon. So we are here as Sierra Leoneans and therefore bringing greetings from His Excellency the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and to say that this is really an opportunity, it's a privilege to be here to share our perspective, as Sierra Leoneans, as to what we have been doing and what we continue to do. So as the Ministry of Social Welfare, we are, as the name goes, we are responsible for providing social services, supporting the vulnerable communities, in ensuring that we get access to services. How do we do that? We do that through collaboration. We work with different stakeholders, including sister governments, ministries, departments, and agencies, because this is a work you cannot do alone. We also work with development partners, donors, we work with civil society organizations, we work with NGOs, non-governmental organizations, because we believe that if we are to succeed in providing the necessary services for our vulnerable people, we have to collaborate, we have to work together. There's no way one institution is going to succeed alone. So this is it, and we also work through policies and laws, because as a ministry we are responsible to provide a policy direction, and we also do that through collaboration. So we also have laws, and we work that through Parliament. So there are so many stakeholders involved in what we do. So as a ministry, we have different directorates. There's a Directorate of Social and Religious Affairs, you mentioned religion, and we also have the Directorate of Family Affairs. We have a Directorate of Mental and Psychosocial. We also have a Directorate of Planning, Research, Policy. So we are very much aware about the stigma, barrier, and everything that surrounds reproductive health rights. So we make sure that we work with land ministries. For example, the Deputy Minister of Health is here, and I'm sure she's going to also elaborate and zoom in more on the health aspect. But we work together to make sure that the services that the health sector should be providing for especially the vulnerable, that they come in and provide those services. We also work with our traditional leaders. There is a Ministry of Local Governments. I happen to have been the Deputy Minister in that ministry prior to coming to the Ministry of Social Welfare. So I understand the dynamics that work when you're in a traditional setting, when it comes to sexual and reproductive health rights, and even the empowerment of women and girls. So we make sure that we leave no one behind. In fact, they are very critical in all of what we do, because that's where you have the greater population, and that's where the message needs to be harmonized. That's where they will engage the people. We have paramount chiefs, we have other traditional leaders that are very critical in the development of a nation. So we also work with the Ministry of Local Government, as I said, in ensuring that the policies, the programs, when we are rolling them out, we bring them on board. We also know that the religious leaders are very key, because in our country is a religious tolerance country, and we have mostly two religions, the Christians and the Muslims. So my ministry has a very good relationship with the authorities and the leaders of the religion. So we even have an interfaith organization, the Interreligious Council, that has the representation of both Christians and Muslims. And so they work together, because we believe that when they work together, they are bringing along all the worshippers, all those that believe in that faith, and our messages, our programs, our plans, our policies can be easily implemented. So as I speak now, we have done our 5-year strategic plan, and we have included issues of women's empowerment, girls' empowerment, because we believe that if you empower a girl, you have empowered a nation. Yeah. There is no way Sierra Leone or any other country would try. I think we are now at that junction where everybody knows that without women and girls, we cannot talk about development. Mm-hmm. We cannot talk about achieving the sustainable goals. So to be able to achieve or attain the sustainable goals, we have to make sure that children and women and girls and our youth take the center stage. So this is what we do, this is how we collaborate, this is how we work, this is why we roll out our programs, and I'm calling on everybody, be it government ministry, departments, agencies, civil society organization, the media, everybody has a role to play to ensure that women's sexuality, women's sexual and reproductive health rights, the messages are clear, the services are provided, the necessary engagements are done, whether at central or at local level. We all have a role and responsibility.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for that. We understand those barriers, and we thank you for tackling those barriers in order to ensure that sexual health education is delivered to young girls. So moving forward to Dr. Jalikatu, so will the government consider providing free access to sexual health and reproductive items, short as contraceptive pills, condoms, etc., for young women and girls, ensuring accessibility even in less privileged communities?
Thank you very much, guys. Distinguished colleague panelists and the Honorable Minister, who's the face of Sierra Leone, and our host, Junisa, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really happy to talk on behalf of the Ministry of Health and my minister, who's not here, but who's also a woman champion, I'll say, about specifically what the ministry is doing to contribute towards sexual and reproductive health rights for our girls. And before I say anything about the health side, I would like to say the reason why we're here today, or even why I am here today as a Deputy Minister of Health, is because we have the enabling environment right now in Sierra Leone for us to even be having some of these conversations. And we must give credit to our President and the First Lady, who are championing the fight for girls, women empowerment. So I just wanted to say that, and yeah, otherwise we won't even be having these conversations right now. And I also cannot take the credit because lots of initiatives and policies have been in place that have been going on for the last 5 to 6 years that other people have championed, and we are hopefully just going to strengthen and accelerate progress on those policies. So, for example, the specific question that you asked, indeed providing contraceptive services and other reproductive health services for women and girls is free of charge, especially in public health facilities. It's already free of charge in public health facilities. In private facilities, of course, you have to pay. Now, the issue is not providing these services. They are there, okay? On our own side, our main responsibility is making sure they're there, but also making sure they're safe, and we're providing safe and quality services for the women and girls, and protecting their right to good health services and the right to live. So we're doing that. But even as we're doing that, you'll find out there are still big gaps on accessing these services. So even though the services are there, the girls, especially our young adolescent girls, are not fully utilizing the services. And the Honorable Minister of Gender spoke about some of the reasons, things like stigma, or sometimes the most vulnerable groups, we cannot reach them because either they're hard to reach areas, or they're not empowered enough to be able to make informed choice or make decisions for themselves. Even the young women, forget about adolescents who need parental consent, even the young women, a lot of young women reported in several surveys we've done that they cannot make any decision in the household related to their own health or the health of their children without the consent of the husband or a male relative. So I think providing the services is one thing, but addressing the gaps to access is the main thing that we should be focusing on right now. And that is not only a Ministry of Health affair. This is a multi-sectoral affair. Every ministry has to play a role, and partners have to play a role, the community, other stakeholders, local councils, local governments, the paramount chiefs, civil society, and the women themselves also have to take up their own advocacy role, take up. Nobody, there's a saying, I can't remember the exact thing, but we all know the saying of the oppressors never give power willingly. Okay, so we have to take it. And to take it, every woman has to come on board. We the women, we also need to learn how to support each other and support ourselves. Because many times we speak about the men being the oppressors or the men making the decisions, but sometimes even in these communities, it's the women leaders who are, I would say, terrorizing the girls from seeking these services. So we also have to acknowledge the role women play in some of these things, in making sure our women and our girls are empowered enough to take up the reproductive health services.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jalika, for sharing. So I would like to ask Honorable Dr. Isata Mahon, so what implementation should the UN Women and other organizations adopt to address some of the challenges you have identified so far in your leadership?
We need to get what we call the bottom-up approach. For every, when you want to create change, it takes time. Development is a gradual process. We also have to prepare communities for them to be able to understand that if you want to move from position XY to go to Z, you need to take a step. So how do you do this? This is why it needs to get everybody on board to work. What we used to do as government practitioners or civil society organizations, sometimes we take, we design projects, we sit on our tables, design projects, thinking that this is what people want in this village, without consulting with the people. It's a wrong approach to development. That's not how we should work. We have moved away from that. We should work with the people, go to the people, let their voices be heard, let them give you what is it that they want, then you come, put that information together, then you seek funding. You will help create change. Because tomorrow they'll tell you, oh, we were not consulted with, you decided on your own to do this. That is one, to help create change. Another thing is the collective responsibility. We need to work collectively, like Janikati said. We need to have a collective approach to development, supporting each other, harmonizing, messaging. Because many times you see people working on a project, they have different messages that they take to people. And people misunderstand this, especially countries like Sierra Leone, where almost half of the population is uneducated. And then you have mixed match information. How would they understand? So this is why some of the challenges we get in terms of when reporting rape or sexual penetration to the police is that people do not get the information how to preserve evidence after being raped. So they do the wrong thing, go to the police, and the police will not see circumstantial evidence that will lead to get justice. So this is where we get a mismatch as well. They will see these things as very common, but they are the critical thing. They will see many victims suffer in silence because they do not get justice. And it's because of, as a result of that one thing, that they did not take into consideration or did not give attention to, or were misinformed about. So how we bring those information to the people collectively, it has to be harmonized. Also at a government level, we should be able to fund gender or young people's issues or strategies. Create the environment where you fund these initiatives. Because if you decide to fund one thing against the other, then it becomes challenging. Education will get, reproductive health will not get. And then what happens? Reproductive health suffers. So children are misled, they are not properly equipped, they are not empowered in that aspect. Then you also get an imbalance in the growth and development of young people. So we need to get funding, especially on girls' initiatives. We should give monies to this. And this one is going for specifically for partners, development partners, NGOs that are working in the field of gender and development or women and development. So we need to think about these things critically, because once you have a misplaced priority, then it becomes a very big challenge. Another thing is also the women supporting women, which I don't know who talked about it. Yes, again, Madam Jenica. Yes, you know, we have seen situations where women drinking down women, even at community level. So we need to bring out initiatives that will always help us to prosper as women. We need to look at this, because otherwise there's no need for us sitting and shouting against men saying that they are not giving up the landscape. They are not giving up the opportunity. We should be giving ourselves the opportunity. We should grab the opportunities. We should go for it. Don't wait for people to take you to the table. Go to the table by yourself, and then you get what you're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahoi. We also happy that a lot of people here are women, so we already had from Dr. Mahoi that we need to support ourselves in order for us to achieve this development. So, moving on to Dr. Melrose, Mrs. Melrose, sorry. Moving on to Mrs. Melrose, what are the measures in the support system available for women and girls who face barriers, like discrimination, accessing sexual health information and services due to socio-economic factors?
Thank you very much. I think this is an interesting topic, and different people have different roles to play when it comes to addressing this issue. And you have at governmental level, central or local. You also have at the central level, you have ministries, departments, agencies. You also have at the civil society level, NGOs. You also have development partners, donors. Everybody has a role to play, in addressing this or removing this barrier. So quickly, from what I know at the governmental level, especially at the highest level, His Excellency the President, he has been very, very focused in trying to unlock potentials, especially for women. And like somebody mentioned, that's why some of us are here. In his first inning, the last 5 years, he has supported women through the free quality education. He believes that when you educate a woman, you have empowered that woman, but not only that, you have empowered a family, you have empowered a community, and empowered the nation. And the impact will be lasting. Because even when we talk about the UN Sustainable Goals, we are not likely to achieve that, as I mentioned earlier. If we don't get everybody playing their part, whether at country level, national, regional, and then globally, because that's why we are all gathered at the CSW, because we want to take stock of what countries are doing, and also a learning curve for every one of us. So, His Excellency the President gave Sierra Leone a free quality education. In the face of the economic challenges in the world, no child pays school fees. And on top of that, he made sure that there's school feeding. Somebody mentioned school feeding earlier. That is to ensure that there's sustainability. So this idea of people keeping their children back because they don't have money to go to school, that's one way to try to clear that barrier and unlock the potential. And very recently, he was there saying the women and the girls have vindicated me for some of the actions that I've taken. Now the girls are leading in the public exams. So that means girls can do more, they can do better, and they can even be the best, to be honest. And that's the same thing goes for women. He believes in women, and that is why he passed the landmark Huey Act, the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act, because he wanted to clear that barrier and unleash the potential of women. So that's how we got the Huey Act that gives minimum 30% to women in governance and leadership positions. And it's been implemented. This is something everybody needs. If you want to learn more about Sierra Leone, you can Google and go and search about what His Excellency the President has done. It's not only on the papers or in the books on the shelf. He has practicalized it by bringing us, the women, on the table in cabinet, more than 30%. And the same thing in the House of Assembly, in Parliament, we have more than 30% of women there. So the voices of women is being amplified. Because there is no way you can sit on the table and decide for us now. We are always at that table now because we know our issues and we have to contribute to those issues. So that is why even the young women, the young ones now are in cabinet. We have as young as 32. You know, a youth, yes, in cabinet. She knows about her sexuality. She can now take informed decisions because she has been given the opportunity. The platform is there now. So at government level, the willingness is there. Look at the 5 big game changers. His Excellency the President has just launched a medium-term development plan. 5 big game changers. We are going into agriculture. So if you are a youth, you want to really tap into good opportunities in Sierra Leone now, you can, because the opportunity is there. And that is why when I'm addressing people, talking about very difficult and challenging issues that I deal with in my ministry, for example, the human trafficking, I talk to them that you only have to change your mentality because it is mentality driven. When people believe that they only have to be overseas to be able to make life, you have to look inward and not outward because the opportunities are there and you need to tap into that opportunity. At other levels with NGOs and civil society organizations, they have their own role to play as well. That is to support the process. You know, I know now that a lot of other partners are aligning their plans with the 5 big game changer. That is the governance medium-term development plan. This is the way to go. This is the way to unlock potential.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Melrose, for that. Yeah, education being a liberation. Special thanks again to the government of Sierra Leone for allocating 22% of its GDP to ensure free quality health education. So before we wrap up the session, I would like to ask this question to Dr. Jalikatu. So, however, we understand the escalating concern about substance abuse among the young generation, and it's also an alarming thing. So, according to the senior psychiatrist we have in the country, Dr. Abdul Jallo, the cases of the drug abuse among the young people have surged from 2% to 40% within 2 years. So what is the Ministry of Health is doing to address these issues, especially when women are involved in this, and also the impact it has on the sexual and reproductive health?
Thank you very much, Doris. I wish you had asked this to the Honorable Minister of Social Welfare. However, since the substance abuse and specifically the Kush problem in Sierra Leone is such a big problem, we also recognize that it's a multi-sectoral problem, and the only way we're going to address it is if we all work together. So I will focus specifically on the health side, okay? So for Ministry of Health, we recognize, we see these people as victims, right? So, I mean, they're victims of circumstances, of socioeconomic problems in Sierra Leone, of mental health problems which have not been addressed. I mean, there are numerous things that could contribute to this, including being subjected to oppression, sexual violence. There are so many things that can contribute to somebody becoming addicted, I would say, to a substance. So for us, what we want to do is, first of all, try and identify those who are at risk, implement measures to prevent them from becoming addicted to substances or kush specifically. And for those who are already addicted or who are already abusing kush, see how to get them through rehab process, solve any health problems, associated health problems they could have, treat them, and then rehabilitate them back into their communities and ensure they have the right support in these communities so that they can contribute to the economic development and become contributing members in society. So the first thing, first of all, is to find out why are people becoming addicted to substance abuse. I mean, it's not a problem we can solve, but we can do what we're doing now is like a prevalence survey to find out exactly where the problems are, who are the key populations who are at risk. We've already identified students to be at risk. We've identified vulnerable groups, people living with disabilities, people in extreme poverty. We've already identified these as the people at risk. Of course, other people still do become addicted, but those are the specific groups, what we call key populations. Those are the specific groups. So we're doing a survey right now to identify these people and find out what are some of the main contributing factors so that we can come up with a policy that will address the risk factors, because for health we always say prevention is better than cure. It's easier to prevent the people becoming addicted than to actually cure them, I'll say, of this addiction. So that's one of the things we're doing. And what we're also trying to do is set up health centers. The Honorable Minister of Social Welfare here just recently launched a rehabilitation center, and that is going to be the first of many. But we want it to be a one-stop center for health. It's not just a center to hold them, but it's actually a center where they go in, they get proper screening for any other health conditions, they are treated of these health conditions. If they need long-term treatment for other things, that's also done. We have pregnant women who are in some of these centers. How do we provide, reproductive health services for them and their children? So we are looking at it holistically to see how we can have these centers across the country and to provide these special services for them. I also want to quickly mention that we are also rapidly accelerating training of community mental health specialists, because we recognize the big role that mental health has to play in this issue of substance abuse.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jalipati.
Maybe just to add to the aspect of getting them in the centers. I think what we need to give also alternative support, like skills development, because most of them are associated to lack of economic opportunities. And once they are empowered, they develop their knowledge or capacity in terms of being enrolled in some sort of education or skills training where they can keep themselves and engage themselves in them. It will help reduce the risk for them to be involved. I think this is the aspect that also needs to come into the one-stop shop that we are looking for. So at the end of the day, they'll be able to provide for themselves, their siblings, or people that they take care of. For me, I think we need a holistic approach to ending the menace of drug abuse.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahoy. I believe those, if they can be targeted like that to ensure that the youth are involved in skillful things they can do, and it will actually stop or eradicate it. So, but before we round up the Mrs. Melrose, we understand that there are provisions, rehabilitation centers that are already going on for these people. And so what are the ways that your ministry, your ministry is doing in order to stop or to eradicate it completely? Because providing these rehabilitation centers is good, but if these youths come out and they can access, like the way they can access this substance, it's also a way of also increasing it. So it's just like you healing them and they come back again and they get into it. So which ways the ministry is doing to eradicate it completely from the country? That is the last question. Thank you.
Can I please ask one?
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. This is a very concerning and disturbing trend in our country currently. And His Excellency the President and the entire cabinet are very concerned about this. And I remember in one cabinet meeting, the President had instructed that we take a multi-sectoral and interministerial approach, because what is happening there is that it's not one ministry thing. You're asking the Ministry of Social, how do we ensure that they don't? No, it has to do with different players. So in this case, we have the Ministry of Internal Affairs that has the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. They are the ones that should go after those who are trafficking the drugs, those who have those cartels that are selling the drugs. So that's their own responsibility to make sure that they track them down. And we are just at the end of service delivery almost, where we make sure that we cater for the victims. Because what was happening initially was that they were arresting them and putting them in prison. But His Excellency said, not everybody is a perpetrator, but most of them are victims because they just take the drugs. So that we were mandated to make sure that we rehabilitate those ones, get them off because what is happening is addiction. Get them off the drugs, rehabilitate them, get them into skills training opportunities, and that's where the Ministry of Higher and Technical Education comes in, even the Ministry of Youth, because they also cater for training opportunities for these young people. So we went ahead straight and started working with the NDLE, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, who are going into communities to raise awareness, to sensitize the youth about the harmful impact of these drugs, because they are dying. I am telling you, this, I don't know what kind of drug is this, but this is really, really it's serious. It's a serious matter. Even as we are here, we are seeing what is going on social media. So we have taken upon ourselves to work with all players to open this rehab center where we have the youth now, and like Janika to mention, it's like a one-shop center. The Ministry of Health is coming there, giving the services on their health, health checkups, detoxing, and all of that. We are making sure that they get food. We are making sure that they get the basics, and then they have recreational facilities that will take their drugs off. Let me share a very quick, interesting thing about it. When we got them into the center, at least when they were not getting access to the drugs again, they were very violent. The Ministry of Health came in to give them some drugs to tamper them down, yes, and then later on, because they were not getting access, so they were taking paper and trying to, but they realized quickly that it's not the same. So as I speak now, they are doing very, very well, and our offices are full every day because people want us to take in their kids who are dropping out of university, out of school. Is quite serious. But I'm believing that if we work together as we have started, we can make sure that we fight this, because after Corona, this is the next war, the war on drugs.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for tackling this issue, especially when women and girls are involved in it. We thank you so much for your wonderful and insightful words and message. So, but because of time, we will not have questions. If you want to meet them later, they are also around. The ministers are here.
I think we need to do justice to
because
one or two questions.
Session.
1 to 2 questions, justice, because I will be crucified.
I'm going to be brief. I strongly believe that our panelists have been phenomenal.
Yes.
And as an individual coming from the Ministry of Social Welfare that coordinates and monitors all interventions on disability in Sierra Leone, I think I must make this passionate appeal. I have taken a closer look at the representation in this hall, and sadly, I have not seen any woman or girl with disability here. I stand to be corrected. And it's a very, very critical issue that we are discussing this afternoon. So it's a critical challenge which ought to be addressed sooner rather than later. Yes, and that draws my attention to one of the questions that you posed. Which approach that must be adopted? I want to say here that we should adopt an inclusive approach. An approach that addresses the special needs of women and girls with disabilities. So it is on that note that I want to passionately appeal that while I heap a lot of accolade on you for organizing this strategic engagement, let us take into consideration the special needs of our women and girls with disabilities, because these are the ones that are adversely affected by the lack of knowledge on sexual and reproductive health education.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. One last year.
Yes. Thank you, my sisters from Sierra Leone. Thank you, my sisters from around the world. My name is Stephanie McGraw. I am your American sister. I lived in America. I was born in America. My ancestors were born here, but I was born here. What I want to say to you, I'm devastated here about what's happening in Sierra Leone. That's why I'm here, to be a part of the solution, right? So I have a domestic violence center. We rescue women, children, and babies, and we take them to safe locations. But they're dealing with all the issues of drugs, of sexual trafficking, of sexual assault, of poverty, of lack of education. But what we have here in America and what we're dealing with over there in Sierra Leone, it's spiritual in nature. You can't take nothing physical to fix this issue. It is something called, and I would like to personally come to your country and bring what we have here in America that's working. It is very simple. We can bring it in your language. We can translate it. It's called the 12-Step Program of Narcotics Anonymous that have helped millions of people get off of drugs. And just how they do it.
Thank you very much.
Wait a minute. Wait. This is how they do it. I'm on drugs. You on drugs. I come to you. I've been on drugs all my life. This is what it did to help me get off. It's one addict helping another without parallel. It's spiritual nature. You can't fix it with anything. I can't fix it with the chair. Yeah. The center, God bless the center, but the 12-step program, we would like to bring that to you.
Fantastic. I am very grateful for that submission. I believe we are happy that we have the Honorable Minister's concern here. Of course, we are running in a very tight schedule. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Minister of Information. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Deputy Commissioner from the New York Commission for Youth and Community Development. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the government-appointed Youth Envoy, Ambassador Ulissa. Thank you very much for being here. And a very personal person from the United Nations family, Madam Howard Diallo. So, without much ado, I would like to kindly ask our panelists, and give them a round of applause, please. Thank you very much for that session. As we rush quickly to the second session, which has to do with economic empowerment for women and youth. So, I'd like to call Madam Khadija, Dr. Khadija, to please take the stand. Ambassador Wancho, Ambassador Ulissa, please take the front seat. Madam Howard Diallo from the United Nations Department of Global Communication. As we continue, the sessions continue. The first segment was dealing with sexual, reproductive health education, and now we're looking at women economic empowerment for youth and women. Mind you, all of your questions, I kindly advise each and every one of us who have questions to kindly send it to the Facebook page for the event. We are going to tally this information, and mind you, we are also broadcasting live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on our national television back home at AYV. So I would like to acknowledge the support of the Serbian government, in particular so the consul to Sierra Leone, the Serbian consul to Sierra Leone, Ambassador Adonis Abud, who made it available for us to have a live broadcast with Ambassador Jonabo, the CEO of AYV News, to broadcast this particular session live back in Sierra Leone for those who are not opportune to come to CSW to see what exactly we're looking at and what we're discussing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Ambassador Wancho, as the moderator. Thank you, that's your seat. The floor is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue the session. Great.
Are you guys excited? Woo. Everyone looks so tired. Let's try to do another.
Everybody stand up. Let's do a big shake body.
Yeah.
Please, let's stand up. Let's stand up. Let's stand up and shake the body. Please, please, come on. This is a youth program. Let's be active. Yes? Let's stretch. Let's stretch a little. Let's stretch a little. Thank you very much. That's cool. That's cool. All right. Hit it. Let's hit the road run.
I want to welcome all of you guys to this very exciting panel. Before we start, we want to give a round of applause for the organizer led by UNICEF. Let's give a round of applause for them. So, empowerment of young women is a
Sorry to
critical-
interject, sir, before you proceed. Commissioner, can you please, we have the commissioner here.
Okay.
Please. Well, please, Commissioner, you are here to honor the invitation on behalf of the mayor. So please, you're a speaker now. Please. Thank you very much, ma'am. What you said. Good.
So the empowerment of women and girls and youth is a critical component of not just Africa, but the global work. And part of the UN Civil Society objective is to see how young people can be empowered in diverse ways, in skill building, in education, in different other manners. So at the CSW this year, the conversation have been, more focused on different aspects. For instance, currently, the UN is focused on the upcoming Summit for the Future, which is a critical part of multilateralism. Another aspect also with the civil society unit have been working on engaging member states to see how they can find opportunities that can harness the potential of young people in dialogue, in conversation, and in different spheres. Today, our panelists have come from different walks of life. Some are directly empowering young people through the civil society unit. Some are working directly with the New York State Department. Another working with the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Sierra Leone in different capacities. I think we have the envoy on youth. So we definitely will have a very impressive and incredible conversation. Part of my role as moderator is to ensure that we have them talking more and I'm talking less. So to start this panel, I want to start first by giving them the opportunity to provide introductory aspect of their background and how it connects to the topic that we are currently having. So the first, I will have Ms. Howard Diallo to first give a little opening on how her background connects with the topic. Thank you.
Well, first of all, greetings, everybody. First of all, let me correct you. The name is Hawa Taylor Kamara Diallo. I'm a married woman, but I came from somewhere before I got married. And the legacy I have of my father and my family name resonates with me, so I never leave it behind.
Thank you.
So I'm from Sierra Leone. I've had the privilege of working at the United Nations across the street for 38 years. So I basically started when I was in nursery, in case you're wondering. I'm about to retire in about 2 months on the 31st of May after a really long history of learning, sharing, and really inspiring people and being inspired myself. So the topic that we're talking about today, I had in my head sexual reproduction, but also, education really speaks to me, in volumes, because I am a woman from the global south, but I'm also a woman from inner city, New York. Let me hear it from the New Yorkers here. Woo! I grew up just downtown First Avenue, ABC, Alphabet City. Now, for me, I said yesterday in another speaking engagement, I'm a product of the legacy of my grandmother, Hannah Kula, who was illiterate. Maybe she went to school, who knows, class 2, class 3, I don't know. In those days, women didn't have that opportunity. We didn't have that choice. And like many women, and I even learned even in the European context, she had 11 children. Because a friend of mine I met yesterday from Germany told me her grandmother had 11 children. And I said, I applaud them. I don't know how they do it. I have 2 and I'm about to go crazy. But she was abandoned by her husband. Again, I don't know if I would say it was polygamy or maybe he decided to get married to somebody else. but being illiterate, not having an education, not having that economic power, she was left with 11 children. I think even out of my grandmother's 11 children, maybe about 4 of them passed away. That's the nature of things in terms of health infrastructure and support to women. But somehow that inner feeling in my grandmother's soul pushed her to make her feel as if, or to realize that education, what she had missed, was something that was important. So each and every one of her children, including my mother, were educated through high school, through college. My mom got married when she was young, because she was the eldest, and she had to support her, her siblings. But her brothers and sisters, she brought them to America. They went to universities all over the United States and had big jobs in all types of, tech, scientific companies. But my mom has always said education is something that's important. And I have 4 brothers. In case you don't know, I'm also a man, because I operate in that way, not only in the physical, but in the personality and in the spirit. So she made sure that all of us, even though my father also died when I was 9 years old, and my mom was subjected to the issues that women face, married to an older man who has money, maybe he was educated, even though she went to technical school, she was still at a disadvantage. But that education that she had is what she used to educate her 5 kids. My mom went to what they called technical college in those days, secretarial college. And she's always telling us stories about working about the British Commonwealth in Sierra Leone. Being a secretary is what she used to work across the street at the UN. As a matter of fact, my mom worked in UNITA building, which is my office, over 50 years later, full circle, as a secretary to educate me and my brothers through elementary, high school, that all of us have 1st and 2nd degrees in the United States. So I owe a lot to my mom, but even more so to Hannah Fuller, my grandmother, who instilled also in my mother the role of education. So education, also has positive and negatives, but I think of it more like informal education, formal education, or maybe even social media education, what we're seeing out there. I've spent a great deal of my 60 years on my mom's bed listening to oral history of Sierra Leone. The other day she was retelling me about the time that the cousin of Queen Elizabeth came to Sierra Leone. And my father was Minister of Trade and Industry. And I saw a picture of my mom and dad in the audience there. I don't know how many years ago that was, 1961. But I mean, I have learned so much from her, and she has inspired me. As a matter of fact, I am at the UN because of my mom. When I graduated here in the US, I wanted to travel in Europe and backpack. Being an African mother, she said, "Come here, Missy. I think you need a job." Somehow she arranged for me to have a job here, to come and apply for a job as a tour guide at 21. And I was like, oh, I'll be here for the summer, and I'm gone. 38 years, I've told you, and I've learned here, all because of my mom. And the one thing she's always told me, she'll be disappointed because I'm retiring, Hawa, you have to become the Secretary General of the UN.
My name is Dr. Stephen Addison, founder of Box Up Crime.
Welcome to the essence of what we are, Box Up.
Box Up Crime is an organisation that aims to turn lives around. We come into young people's lives and we want to just give them an opportunity to win, an opportunity to succeed. And that's what we've been doing for the last decade. Here in the UK, we work with schools across the country. We're working with over 2,000 young people on a weekly basis in London alone. And we're very excited just to replicate the great work we've done in the UK and replicate it in Africa, replicate it in Sierra Leone.
So Box Up have been working with Gascoigne now for 10 years, and they really are part of the family, the community within our school. So when we see Box Up mentors within the playground, in the building, the children will run up to them, they'll relate to them. They know that they can approach Box Up mentors as people who are there to help and there to support.
Box Up, we believe in turning lives around, and that's what we do. That's what we've been doing for the last decade. And this is an exciting opportunity to do it in Sierra Leone.
So Adas first met Stephen and Box Up in 2019, and we instantly recognised that we share a vision. At Adas, we say that through sport we have the power to change lives, and this is a vision that Box Up bring to life every single day.
I really like coming coming to this place because the first day I came here, I was so shy and so scared. But over time, as I kept on coming, they taught me about dedication and how to be fit and strong. And also, they made me feel a part of their family.
Box Up Crime is a really important partner for No More Red. Obviously, from Arsenal and the community's perspective, we use football, but Box Up Crime are using a different sport, but with a similar sort of approach. So there's a very close sort of alignment, I would suggest, between the two organisations. To be working around this sort of space for 10 years is a massive achievement for Box Up Crime, and we're really proud to have them as a partner of No More Red.
At first, I never saw myself taking boxing seriously, but now I see myself winning titles in the future, being a champion, and it all started at Box Up. You know, if it wasn't for Box Up, I might still be fighting people on the streets and all that kind of stuff. But now, you know, I just come, I hit the bags, and I feel good.
At Box Up, we want to be able to provide the tools, you know, the experience, the resource to really see the Olympic team, the national boxing team in Sierra Leone thrive, win. Not just that, we also want to see the young people have a culture of success. We want to see young people aspire to be great, aspire to be leaders.
On behalf of the Boxing Association of Sierra Leone, we are very privileged as a country to have you in there and to support us as well as to develop the sports. As Box Up is one of the fastest growing organizations in the world helping kids to combat crime. To have an initiative like this for boxing, it will be a big help. We've just launched the FIFA football in schools, which we're using to go into schools and everything. With your help now, helping the Boxing Association, we'll be able to work alongside them to try and combat crimes in the schools and also communities.
We're looking for the next generational leaders. We're looking for the leaders of tomorrow. And if we can work alongside Sierra Leone with the team, with the country, and provide the tools to really allow the young adults in the country to succeed, we would love to do that. So I'm excited about this opportunity, I'm humbled by this opportunity, and I'm ready to work. So look forward to working with you guys and look forward to really seeing dreams come true for the young people in Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much. We know that you replicate the same program of what you're doing now in England. We could see that you've reached out to Ghana and other parts of the world as well. So Sierra Leone, we are very privileged to have you.
Sumambo Pae Nangendef. This is AYV Connect with Africa. We bring you Africa's biggest conversations, entertainment, inspiring stories, and breaking news from across the continent.
Through the lens of AYV Connect with Africa, you get to see and have a feel of what it means to come from where we celebrate our cultures, traditions, and heritage.
This is where I come from, my one and only home. This is Africa.
Join us as we show you the best of the African continent. Come, let we go.
I am Abiola from Nigeria, West Africa. Join me as we connect with Africa. Ẹ̀yin tèmi báwo ni o, ṣé wà?
I am Kenshin, and this is AYV Connect with Africa, coming to you live from our state-of-the-art studios at Tower Hill, Freetown, Sierra Leone.
And this is where we get to share with you what is happening and where it's happening right now. AYV Connect with Africa, coming to you live on DSTV channel 399.
Sierra Star Transport Company is here to change the face of transportation in Sierra Leone. We operate a first-class service and ensure that our customers are safe, comfortable, and happy to do business with us. Our service is timely. We have highly qualified staff who are respectful and possesses very good customer care skills. Our fleet of buses are always well serviced so that the fear of breakdown on the journey does not come into play. Our buses can be hired for wedding, funeral, outing, and more. You can also hire buses of your choice for long-term period at very affordable prices. We have customized buses that are fitted with toilets, fridges, USB charging port, and LED TV. We can be reached on +232 80771177 +232 30771177. Sierra Star.
No other continent can rival Africa in the complexity of its human past. Home to 1.2 billion people, the world's second largest population and second largest continent after Asia, the name Africa has always been intriguing. But have you ever stopped to wonder, as home to the first great civilizations, is it really possible to know how Africa got its name, and if the name Africa is even African? Is this the name ancestors used to refer to the motherland? And if Africa and Africans were robbed of their inherent way of life, their culture and their history thanks to slavery and colonization, what if they were also robbed of the knowledge of the motherland's true name? As they say, what is in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. This famous line from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet is often used by those who underrate the importance of names in their attempt to play